In this lecture, we are going to understand how can we make this login system that we developed in today's afternoon lecture more advanced. So what we can do, we guys can add a registration screen in this login system. Fine. So the user is going to come on that screen and he will register his profile. And after that, once the user is done with registering his profile on this platform, he is going to get redirected on this sign-in screen. Fine. Now, whatever credentials he has used for registering his profile on this platform, when he will input those credentials over here in these two fields and will hit this sign in button, then only this system is going to redirect him on this welcome screen, right? Otherwise we will not redirect him on this beautiful screen too. Fine. So how can we add a registration screen to this login system? That's what we are going to check out first. So for that, the best way is to come on this design panel and create a duplicate of this sign-in screen that you're seeing right now. Fine. So how can you create a duplicate of a particular screen you have in the app lab? The best way is to come over here in this drop down, and after that you need to select the screen you want to create a duplicate of. Okay, so I am going to select this screen 1 from here. Fine. So it means that this screen 1 is active right now. If you will select this email component, what is going to happen? This email is going to be active now. Fine. So at present, this email component we have defined over here on this screen 1, it is active. If you want the screen to be active, you need to select screen 1 from here. Fine. Now, in order to create a duplicate of this screen 1, you can come over here, okay, and hit this duplicate named button. As soon as you'll hit this, automatically a copy of that screen 1 is going to get created. So right now what you're seeing on this mobile simulator, it is a copy of that screen 1. Okay. Now I don't want this invalid credentials thing getting reflected right on the top, so I am eliminating this for now. Okay. And besides, let's define some text in this placeholder field of this input box we have on this sign up screen. So here I am going to write down email. Okay, and let's change the ID of this input box so we can make use of this ID text box. So I'm changing it to email, E is in capital. Similarly, I am going to let's change it to enter your email. Yeah, now it is fine. And the ID of this component, I am changing it to password, P is in capital. Fine. And in this placeholder field, I would like this thing to get reflected. Enter your password. Fine. Now we have two different components on this screen in which the user can write down something. Okay. Now we have one button also. Okay, over here. So this is a label box, and let's change the ID of this label box. Okay. Now I'm going to tell you how can you make use of this data browser facility we have in the app lab. So it's a kind of server on which you can save some information in the forms of table, and then you can fetch the required details from that table whenever you want it. Fine. So let's do that. I'm going to come on this coding panel first, and here I will define the code for this button sign up that we have on this sign up screen. Now before this, I would like this thing to behave, this screen to behave as a default screen. Now what do you mean by default screen? Default screen means when you'll run the app, So screen 3 should be visible to us. Right now the default screen is this screen 1. I don't want the user to see this when he will access the app on his mobile for the first time. Fine, I want him to come on this screen 3 first. So for doing that, we need to make this the default screen. Now how can you make this screen 3 default screen for this app? So you just have to come over here in this workspace, and you'll find this make default button getting reflected over here. So just hit this button, and now this screen 3 is the default screen for this login system we have in this app lab. So when you'll hit this run button, this is the screen 3, which you are going to come across first. Okay, so we are done with making this screen 3 the default screen. Let's now come on this coding panel and define the code for this button over here. So I'm going to make use of this uneven block I have in this UI control section of the toolbox. Let's select it and put it over here. Fine. Now I need to change the ID over here in this first drop down of this uneven block to the ID of this button. Okay, so the ID of this button is sign up. This is the one. Let's select this sign up. Fine. Now when the user will hit this sign up button, I would like whatever information he has entered over here in these two fields, his email address and his password, they should get saved in a table like structure on this data browser, which is connected to this app right now. How can you do that? How can we do that? So the best way of doing that is to come on this data section of the toolbox and make use of this create records block. Fine, you just have to select it and put it inside this uneven block like this. Okay, now this create record block is generally used for creating a table on the data browser connected to the app you are creating in the app lab. Fine. Now whatever information you want to save over there in that table, so you can put it inside these two curly brackets which you are seeing just next to this my table. Fine. So here you can mention all the fields you want to see in that table, and you can pass the values also for different fields you are going to mention over here in between these two curly brackets. Now this is the name with which a table is going to get created on the data browser. If you want to change it, you can make the required changes like this. So I'm going to have a table with name users. Okay, and inside this I would like to see two different fields, one for the email and the second one for the password part. Okay, now this colon is for separating the value you're going to pass for this email field and for this password field. So from where can I get the value of this email field? I can get it from this input box, right? How can we read the input which the user is going to make over here in this input box? That is the question. So the best way is to make use of this block get text, which you can easily find in the UI control section of the toolbox. So this block generally helps us in getting the text, or you can say in reading the input which the user write down in any of the components we define on any of the screens. Okay, so I'm going to select it and put it over here. Now what is the ID of this input box? It is email. E is in capital, so I need to replace this ID with email, and that's how I can get the value of for this email named field from this component named email we have on this sign up screen. Okay, similarly we can get the input for this password field also. Let's select this whole code and put it over here. Fine, now the ID of this field is password. Okay, so I'm done with defining the required code for creating a table named users, okay, in which these two information are going to get saved. Now let me show it to you practically what is the output this code over here is going to give us. So I'm running this app now, and I am on the sign up screen right now. And if you'll come on this data browser, there is no table present on the data browser right now. So I am going to write down an email address over here. So let's select this one. Fine. And here I am going to enter a password. So this is the one which I am entering for now. Let's hit this sign up button and see what is going to happen. So I'm done with hitting the sign up button. Let's come on that data part and check out whether a table with name users has got created on the browser or not. So as you can see, a table named users have got created, and inside this the information which I mentioned over here, okay, it is getting reflected. So the email ID is also visible to me and the password is also visible to me. Now these fields over here, they are coming from this thing. These two fields which are mentioned over here, okay, these are getting reflected right on the top on this of this table, and this information which is seeing for this email ID part and for this password part, they are coming from this code which I've defined for the value part of these properties. Fine, or you can say column names. Let's reset this app now. Once the user is done with registering his profile on this platform, I would like him to get redirected on that sign in screen. So how can we do that? So first of all, I will make this uneven block more interactive by adding a play speech block to this uneven block. So this play speech block is going to convert every line which I am every thing which I am going to write down over here in between these two double inverted commas into speech form, which we will be able to hear when we'll hit this sign up button. Let me show it to you practically. So here I'm going to write down your profile has been uploaded successfully. Okay, now when I will run this app, and here I'm going to enter now a different email address. So let's go for this one, and here I am entering this password Nivi12213. Now when I'll hit this sign up button, let's see what is going to happen.
Your profile has been uploaded successfully.
So we were able to hear this thing, na? Your profile has been uploaded successfully. So that's how it is in Microsoft powered play block. Okay, and this is used for converting some text into speech form. Fine. Now I am going to reset this app, and let's now define a code over here inside this uneven block with which we can redirect the user on this screen one. Fine. So let's do that. Let's make use of this set screen block available to us in this UI control section of the toolbox for redirecting the user on this screen one. Fine, I'm done with that. Okay, now once the user is here on this screen, first of all, let me just define something for this placeholder part of these two input boxes. So here I am going to write down enter your email. This is what I have written over here, and here I am writing enter your password. Okay, let's come back on that coding panel and eliminate everything we have defined over here for this sign in button. So I am removing everything from here. Okay, and this because we have this hide element defined in this workspace for this error message. So initially when the user will come on this screen, he will not be able to see this label box, right? Now when the user, after entering his email address and password with which he registered his profile on this platform, will hit this button over here, I would like him to get redirected on this screen too, provided that the email ID and the password over here corresponding to this email ID should match with the one which are there in this user's named table. So I am going to now put a check on these two fields, and let's now do that. Let's come on this data part. Now when the user will hit this sign in button, the first thing that I would like to happen is that the first thing that I would like to do is I would like to read the records from this user's named table for the email address he is going to mention over here before hitting this button. So let's make use of this read records block. So read records block is basically used for reading the records from a particular table you have on the data browser connected to your application. Okay, now let's replace the name of this table with the table in which everything is getting saved. So the name of the table is users. Let's replace this my table with users. Okay, now here inside this for loop, I'm going to eliminate everything, whatever you're seeing right now. Now, in order to match the password for the email ID, the user is going to mention over here, from the password he mentioned for this email address while creating his profile. Okay, for that, what we can do for matching that, what we can do, we can make use of this if loop. Okay, let's put it right inside this for loop. Fine, and here I am going to define two conditions. The way I defined two conditions for these two input boxes in the very first lecture, in the same way I'm going to put a check on these two components using this if loop. So here I am going to write down get text. First of all, I need to read the text which the which the user is going to enter over here in these two fields. So get text email is in small. So if it is equal to records, see, records over here is a type of variable with which you can fetch the information which is there present inside this user's named table. Okay, this for loop is for traversing the rows which are there in this user's named table. Okay, so records, and here I am writing I dot email. Why I have written email over here? Just because I want to match the text which the user is going to enter over here with these email IDs we have in this table named users. Fine. Now if it matches with one of the email IDs, or with, you can say, any of the email IDs which are there in this user's name table, after that I would like to match the password also. So for that we need to make use of this and operator, and let's copy this whole code from here and put it right next to this and operator. Okay, and let's now replace this email with the ID of this password component. So that's how we can do it, right? And this time we are matching the password field. So whatever the user is going to mention over here, it is going to be matched with this password field. Okay, and if suppose these two things matches for any particular record which is there inside this user's named table, I would like the user to redirect on this screen 2. For doing that, we can make use of this line of code and we can put it over here. So he will be redirected on this screen 2, and I would like him to hear something from the background, something like welcome user on your dashboard. Fine, so this is what he is going to hear. Fine, in the background. Now if in case any of these two conditions is false for the input which the user is going to make over here in these two input fields, I would like this error message to get reflected. Fine, I would like the user to see this label box. So for doing that, we can make use of this show element property, and let's put the ID of this label box inside this show element. Fine, error. Okay, and let's make it more interactive by adding this play speech block. So the user is going to hear you entered invalid credentials. Okay, now I'm going to run this app and show you the output we are going to get. Let's hit this run button. So right now we are on this sign up screen. Right here I am going to register one more profile. Let's make use of this anubhav@gmail.com, and let's enter a password over here. So I'm entering anubhav123. Let's hit this sign up button and see what is going to happen. So here I go.
Your profile
Okay,
has been
so
uploaded successfully.
fine. The profile has been successfully created on this platform, and as you can see, Anubhav's ID and his password are getting reflected in this user's named table. Now I am going to use these two credentials for logging into the system. Let's see if we'll enter an incorrect password for this ID, we'll be able to redirect on that screen too, or we'll come across an error message. Let's check it out.
You entered invalid
Okay,
credentials.
so this error message is getting reflected right on the top. Let's enter the correct ID. So this is the correct one. Fine, let's now hit this sign up button and see what is going to happen.
You entered invalid credentials.
Great, so I am there on this beautiful screen too. Okay, so that's how you can make your login system more advanced by using this data browser facility we have in this Applab. Okay, now you guys can go ahead and ask your queries if you have any in your mind. Sir, what? Okay, coding Mitra. So she's asking, so what is duplicate? Why we use it in this application? What is mean by table? Okay, Charu, see, if you want to create a copy of something, fine. So in that case, you can go for this duplicate option. Suppose if you want to create a copy of this screen 3 from this drop down, fine, and then you can hit this duplicate button so as to create a copy or duplicate of this screen. So whatever components, whatever things we have on this screen, all the things are going to come on that duplicate also. Fine. Yes. Okay, any other question you guys have in your mind? Get text is used for it is used basically for getting the text from any component we have defined on any screen. Fine. Is there any other query I can help you guys with? And please keep sharing these links in your group so that more and more students can join in and enjoy these free coding classes, because there are many students around who want to learn this real coding. Fine, so please do help them. Sir, when is next class? I think I'm going to take these classes daily. On daily basis you're going to have these classes. Fine, so don't worry about that. And if you are a subscriber of my channel, definitely you're going to get a notification on your app. Hi sir, how to delete a row in a data. So I'm going to take it in the future lecture, dear. Don't worry about that. Delete records blog, whatever blogs are there in this app lab, I'm going to take all the blogs. Okay, just keep attending these online coding classes I am providing on my channel. That's what you have to do, and keep on practicing on daily basis. Whatever you learn from these online coding classes, keep practicing those things so that you can understand each and everything in a better way. You must have worked on Excel, right? So, table is this in which we have columns and rows. Fine. And anything in which we can save the data in the form of columns and rows. That is known as a table. Costa, I'm going to tell this thing in one of the future lectures, so don't worry about that here. For now, I am ending this lecture. Thank you very much for joining me. Have a great day. Bye bye.